all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast will be served by the Somerset Lions Club from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. on April 30th at the Church of Our Savior. Pancake, sausage, and juice will be served at the Church Hall, which is located at 2112 County Street in Somerset. Tickets for the breakfast are $10 for adults and $5 for children who are 12 years old and under. Tickets can be purchased at Mr. Carl's Hair and Nail Salon, located at 1176 County Street in Somerset, at Eau Claire's Market, located at 145 County Street in Somerset, or at the door at the church on the morning of the breakfast. The Somerset Lions Club raises money to fund eye research for scholarships for Somerset students, to sponsor a scout troop and Cub Scout pack, and for many other causes in the community. The Somerset Recreation Department is now selling tickets for 2 bus trips to Red Sox games. The first trip is on Patriots Day, April 17th, for an 11 a.m. game at Fenway Park on Marathon Day. A bus will leave the Somerset Town Office building at 9 a.m. to go to Boston for the game. Tickets are $100 each, which includes transportation and a ticket to the game. The Recreation Department is also planning a bus trip to Yankee Stadium for a Red Sox-Yankees game on Saturday, August 19th. A bus will leave the town office building at 9 a.m. to go to New York for the 1 p.m. game. Tickets for that game are $150 each. Those who would like tickets for either game can call the Recreation Department office at 508-646-2808 or visit the office on the first floor of the town office building. The Somerset Lions Club is selling tickets to a comedy show and sports memorabilia auction that will be held at White's of Westport on April 1st. The show will be hosted by Smokin' Joe Holden and will feature 3 comedians, headlined by Artie Januario, the funny pharmacist. The sports memorabilia auction will feature a lot of items from Boston's professional sports teams. Tickets for the show and auction are $20 and are available at Eau Claire's Market. Those who would like to reserve tables for the show can call 508-667-0166. The annual Easter egg hunt that the Somerset Recreation Department has been holding for over 50 years is scheduled for Saturday, April 8th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Pottersville Field, located at 212 Washington Avenue. Thousands of Easter eggs will be spread out on the field for children to pick up. There will be candy in each egg and special awards in each age group. Easter baskets to put the eggs in should be brought by parents and guardians for their children. The free event is open to children in grades 5 and younger. There will be 3 different areas for the Easter egg hunt. One of the areas will be for children who are 3 years old and under. Another area will be for children between 4 and 7 years old. And the other area will be for children between the ages of 8 and 11 years old. Parents and guardians can also bring their cameras to take photographs of their children with the Easter Bunny. After the event, the Easter Bunny will be escorted around town. The route for the bunny can be viewed at www.townofsomerset.org/playground recreation. The event is being sponsored by the Somerset Recreation Department and the Somerset Federal Credit Union. The Somerset Lions Club will be having a golf tournament on May 21st at Swansea Country Club and is currently registering foursomes for the event. Golfers are being given a choice for the tournament. They can either play in an 18-hole tournament for $150 or a 9-hole tournament for $120. No matter how many holes they play, they will be given a golf cart, hospitality tent, catered lunch, awards dinner, prizes, and more. Anyone who would like to play in the tournament or be a sponsor for the tournament can call Mike Correa at 508-207-3355 or Scott LeBeau at 508-207-0556. Thank you for tuning in to Somerset Weekly Wrap-Up. We will see you next time with news from around Somerset. had a very successful program at the high school for a lot of years, but I guess because of a lack of interest, maybe 4 years ago, it was eliminated, and it was brought back this year. Can you tell me what happened to bring the program back to the high school?
Absolutely. About 2018, the program disbanded. I was one of the assistant coaches at the time. We had about 12 student athletes left on the team. And basically the tough decision was made to co-op with Durfee Wrestling. I was still in college at the time, didn't have a lot of time to commit to the coaching aspect of it, especially out of season to recruit new kids to come into the program. And then this year, Nick Freitas, the head football coach at the school, had offered for me to come coach football with him and coach the offense and defensive line. And that really got my foot in the door to be able to revive the wrestling team and get it to where we're at today. There was definitely a lot of hard work in between that, in those 4 or 5 years. Myself and Bob Raganese, he was really the founder of the youth wrestling program that takes place at North Elementary. And that has been a tremendous success and a huge help to get us in the right direction to where we want to go with this program. And the future is definitely bright, and I'm excited to see where we can get to in the next couple of years.
And when you offered the program, you got a lot of interest in it. Can you tell me about that?
Right. So obviously the reason for joining Durfee in the co-op was a lack of interest, low numbers, and we were worried that I was willing to coach, but were there kids to coach? And the athletic director had a good idea to put out a survey to the school to see if there was interest, along with a couple other sports, I believe, like there was interest in a lacrosse program or a few other different sports that aren't currently offered. And there was a lot of interest, so we posted a sign-up date, and I was pleasantly surprised when I walked into the gym. There was about 60 kids there to hear my spiel and that were willing to sign up for the team. On day one, we had about 53 kids on the mat, so it was a success in my book.
Why do you think there was so much interest? Why do kids want to wrestle?
I think there was it was new. A lot of kids, I really preach that overall it's going to make them a better athlete, and that it doesn't matter whether you play soccer, football, you're a baseball player, you run track in the spring. I think this is a great sport to just advance your athletic ability and your mental toughness and everything like that. So it pays dividends in life and in athletics. So
and you did some recruiting on the football team, I'm sure.
I did. I saw the fruits of that, of what wrestling did for my football career, both in high school and in college, and I just really want as many kids as possible to take advantage of that opportunity that they have. Both myself and my assistant coach, we had successful collegiate football careers, and I think we would both attest that wrestling played a big part of it. So,
how did it do that? How did wrestling help football, and vice versa?
It's funny. There's this saying that once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy, and I just think that is such a true statement. Maybe not just football, but that's certainly the case for me. Anything in life, it's whether you're just having tough times or the adversity. It's a whole different animal to be out there alone in the middle of a wrestling mat with the whole crowd watching you, and it comes down to you whether if you win, you're going to get your hand raised at the end of the day. If you lose, you have to deal with it and push through that and, fight back to win the next one. So I think, it's a good metaphor for everything.
Yeah, those matches look very intense when I see them out there, and the crowd really gets into it.
Absolutely. I don't even know if most of the crowd understands what they're cheering for or what they're booing for, but, it's great having the support, and I think, it really helps the kids out a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of technical aspects to it, right? This isn't like the WWF. This
Right,
is,
yeah. It's actually funny you say that. One of the kids on day one thought he was going to be given a cape to wear to practice. So, that's some of the growing pains we've dealt with of not having wrestling at the school and kids just not knowing what it was. So, I think he had a different idea as to what we were going to be doing. But
and one of the things, so you have all these different weight classes that you had to fill as part of the reason why you need so many wrestlers, right?
absolutely, yeah. I think, some of the toughest ones are the lightweight classes and the heavyweight classes. We have a whole handful of the middleweights, but it's tough to go into a high school and find a 106-pounder or a heavyweight, a 285-pounder. So those are the ones, they're hidden gems, and you can, as a coach, you really got to get in there and, pick them out and tell that 106-pounder, like, hey, you're going to be a great wrestler. You're only going to wrestle kids your own size, and you're athletic, and you can do this. Because I think a lot of times they're scared about a physical sport when they're that small, or they've never done a physical sport if they're that big. So
one of the things about those weight classes is they got to keep their weight at the right weight. So how do they do that? You got to be really disciplined to do that, right?
absolutely, the MIAA is really good about making sure everyone's safe and everyone does the right thing, because it is a long season. So at the beginning of the season, we do weight certifications that say, our student athlete steps on the scale, the trainer's present, and she does what's called a skin fold test, which tests the student athlete's body fat, and she marks down a minimum weight that he could go and would be safe at. And that has to be he can't go below that throughout the season. Another great thing that the MIAA does is after January 1st, there are 2-pound weight allowance for every weight class. So, for instance, if you're in that 106-pound weight class, the weight class after January 1st becomes 108 pounds. So it's a growth allowance to allow the kids to grow throughout the season. So it's great.
You have a good trainer who I know is a fan of wrestling.
Absolutely, yes. Susan Medeiros is, a huge fan of the sport, and she's been a blessing so far. A huge help. Anything we need, she's there for us. Probably wouldn't have been able to do what we did this year and had the success without her. So, testament to her. And I think it's a huge perk to have someone in your corner like that for a tough sport that maybe some people don't, like some trainers might not understand it, or might push back a little bit with another contact sport added to their scope of work there. So
her husband was a good wrestler at the high school, so
absolutely, yeah. Her husband and her brother. So I mean, she was a part of the wrestling family for a long time.
And you also have some assistant coaches that help you out. Can you tell me about
We
them?
do. My assistant coach, Andrew Howard, he was a hidden gem. This is his first year coaching, but he had a phenomenal wrestling career. We actually started wrestling together at Warren Youth Wrestling when we were about 6 years old. So that's how we met originally. And he was born and raised in Swansea, but did his high school career at Moses Brown. At Moses Brown, he was a 3-time Rhode Island state champion, and also won a New England championship as well. He did a prep year at Tabor Academy, where he wrestled and played football, and then he ultimately played college football at Gettysburg University. So he has quite the resume. He's been phenomenal this year. All the kids have taken really well to him and, you know, his coaching style. So I couldn't ask for a better assistant coach to have with me. My other two assistant coaches are Mike Cooley, who ran the youth program in town for about 10 years and has been involved in wrestling his whole life.
Yeah, didn't he have a son who was a really good wrestler?
Yep, he has a son who wrestled with me back in the day. He now is wrestling at the Division I level at West Virginia University. So he's doing very well. He's beat a couple nationally ranked kids, so he's having a great season right now. And that's been good for all the kids to watch and kind of look up to someone from Somerset who's having success at the collegiate level. My other assistant coach is Quinn Fallon. He has, again, been involved in wrestling most of his life. He first got on the wrestling scene setting up youth wrestling tournaments all throughout the state in New England. He famously set up the Cape Cod Duels, which was a huge youth wrestling tournament down the Cape that people traveled all over from to go to. And then he spent a handful of years reffing wrestling in the MIAA. So that's been great having him on board, because for all the rules and different regulations, just having a ref on your staff is great. It's a huge help.
Is he any relation?
He's my uncle, yep.
Okay. So especially this year, where I know a lot of the kids, this is their first experiences with wrestling, so the coaching must be really important.
Yeah.
To teach these kids what they need to know.
Absolutely. And it's been tough too, because especially the first few weeks, everyone was new. So it's basically starting from, you know, step one as if it was a youth wrestling program. And the kids picked it up fast. Obviously, there was a big drop-off with some kids that quickly found out it wasn't for them. But the kids that stuck with it, I think they're having success now. And that's when the sport starts to become fun, is, you know, you go out into practice, you work hard, you listen to your coaches, and when you do have a match, you get your hand raised because your hard work pays off. So.
When did you wrestle at the high school?
I wrestled from 2011 to 2015. I graduated in 2015. Yeah, and that year is when my team, we won a Division III state title. So.
Which is the only wrestling championship that they've never won a team title.
Correct.
At high school. They've had a lot of individuals do really well, but
yes, sir.
That was the first team to win a championship.
Yeah, we have a tremendous history at this school for wrestling, and that's something we do quite often in practice. We look up into the rafters. There's a banner that hangs right over our wrestling room that shows all the league titles that have been won throughout the history of the sport, and the state championship banner is also there. So, you know, it's great to have up there for the kids to see that, you know, they're a part of something bigger than just this year.
And you had Nick Peachy, who was the founder of the program, come by. Did he give you any good advice?
He did. You know, he's been great. He comes to all of our home matches. You know, we've spoken on the phone a few times, and he came to practice about a week or two ago, spoke to the kids, and just, again, reiterated that they're a part of something bigger than just this year. He spoke about his first ever wrestling team in 1988 when he started the program at the school, some of the struggles he had, and how he was able to bring the program to where it was when he left. So I hope all the kids understand, you know, how much of a legend he is and the legacy he has and he built. So.
Of course, he was a teacher there as well, and he used to tell me how he used to recruit kids in the halls to be on the wrestling team. And I think there was one kid he told me about who he challenged him to a wrestling match. That's how we got him to be on the team.
Yeah, that sounds like him. There was about a month period where, when I was in my sophomore season, my head coach had to step away for a month because his wife had a baby. And Coach Peachy stepped up and came in to coach us for that month. And it was probably some of the hardest practices I've ever been through, but some of the most rewarding. And I'm glad I am able to say I was coached by him, even for just that short amount of time.
So how's the team doing? How have they been doing in their matches?
We're doing okay. We're 7-6 right now as a team. A couple of our wrestlers have had a lot of individual success, but we're working hard. We fill every varsity weight class, which, when I came into this, I said that was one of my goals, was to not take any forfeits throughout the dual meets, because that just sets you back right away. But we do fill every varsity weight class, and I'd say we've been competitive in just about every meet we've had. So I'm proud of the kids. They've been working hard. They go out there and they wrestle against kids who have years of experience compared to them. So it's a challenge, but they've all seemed to have bought in, and I think the sky's the limit as to where we can go, especially considering where we've gotten to just in year one. So
being over 500 in your first year, that's...
Yeah, like I said, we've been competitive, and that's all you can ask for as a coach. They keep their heads up, and they show, even when we do take the losses, they show back up the next day for practice, and they're ready to go. They're ready to learn and get better. So.
And you do have a few experienced wrestlers. You were telling me about a couple of them the other day that you think maybe could make some noise in the South Sectionals.
Absolutely. So Jack Froner, who's our varsity 126-pounder, he wrestled previously in the co-op with Durfee. So he has about a year and a half of experience. He wrestled in one of the COVID years, which was a shortened season, and then he wrestled last year for Durfee, where he had some success. He actually placed 6th in the Division I South Sectionals, which didn't qualify him for states, but that's the goal this year, is to get better than 6th and qualify for the state tournament. Our other wrestler with a little bit of experience is Anthony Celio, who's our varsity 132-pounder. He wrestled for a few years in youth, but then stepped away from the sport and is back into wrestling. And just those few years of youth experience, they are totally paying off now at the high school level, because he's a couple steps above where everyone else is experience-wise. And it also helps that Anthony and Jack get to wrestle together every day in practice. So they're drilling partners, and they're having a lot of success. They have the highest records on our team, so I get excited when they come out for dual meets, because it's always going to be a good match for those two.
And you have a girl on the team who mostly wrestles against boys and is having a lot of success.
We do. Our varsity 113-pounder she's our senior captain, Genesis Price. She's been great this year. She's one of the hardest workers in my wrestling room, and I just can't say enough good things about her. She, again, last night against Bristol Plymouth, had another big win. She fought off her back and was down 11-3, and she came back to pin her opponent. So that's been her story all year long. She's been the underdog. I'm sure when she steps out into the mat, people don't expect her to be the type of wrestler she is, but she's tough. So
when I talked to her, she said a big thing is just not giving up.
Absolutely, and that's, we preach that every day, and she shows it on the mat. So it's been awesome to see. She's great to coach. She takes the coaching very well, and I believe she plans to play soccer at the collegiate level next year. So I'm excited to see where she can, take her athletic ability. So
she said part of the reason why she joined wrestling is because people said that she was an aggressive soccer player, and they thought that would help help her to be a good wrestler.
I believe it. Unfortunately, I never saw her play soccer this past season, but I know they had a great season. And if her athletic ability is off the charts. Like I said, she's a fighter.
But with all the sports at the high school, you need, you usually need good feeder programs for kids coming up. And I know, you talked about it a little bit earlier, it's called the Raiders Wrestling Club. That,
Yep.
They practice at North Elementary. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Maybe tell people how to join if they're interested.
Absolutely. So Bob Raganese, who has been a long-time official in the MIAA, he runs the Raiders Wrestling Club at North Elementary. They practice every Tuesday and Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30, and that's for grades K through 8. They do a great job over there. I try and bring the high school kids as often as possible down there to help out with the kids, and that way, I think a lot of the little guys look up to our wrestlers on the varsity team. So they've come to all of our home meets, and it's been a great relationship. We say we're the Somerset wrestling family, so we help each other out whenever we can, and they just do a great job. And like you said, that's how you're going to have success and have a successful program, is bringing those kids up through the pipeline and having them be already at that next level when they get to me as a freshman. It's a short season. It's only 3-4 months long. So if you only wrestle for those 3 or 4 months, all 4 years, your ceiling's only so high. But if you grow up wrestling, you really can take it to the next level and have success at the state and all-state tournament.
I've gone to some of the little kids matches. I get a kick out of seeing the real little kids wrestle.
Yeah.
They're funny. So what are your goals for the rest of the year? What would you like to accomplish this year?
Well, our next big goal on the table is to win the Petrillo Cup, and that's an annual dual meet we have with Durfee every year. Notoriously, it's always been on
It was New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, but this year Durfee already had something on their schedule, so it is next Wednesday night, February 8th, and it's big. I think the kids are excited. I was a part of the football team this year. When they get excited to play Durfee in football, I can tell they're already excited to wrestle against Durfee. We have Jack Roner, who's wrestled with Durfee last year. He's excited to go wrestle his old team. And another thing is that the new Durfee wrestling coach was my high school wrestling coach, Mike McMahon. So I'm looking for the bragging rights to say we can win that match. So I'm excited about it too.
And of course, that match, the history of it is Sal Petrillo was principal at Somerset High School.
Yep.
But he went to Durfee High School, right? So that's why the two schools
Absolutely.
go up against
and
each
I know Coach Peachy, thought very highly of Sal Petrillo, and it means a lot to him too.
Because he was the one who encouraged Nick to start the wrestling program.
Yep. So again, that's kind of our big goal that we have on the table. As a team, individually, I'd like to see somebody in our team make it to the state tournament. So I think we have a good shot at that. They've been working hard every day, and hopefully we meet those expectations.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in and answering my questions. And
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll be seeing you at the wrestling matches.